Driving my boat, the Swamp Duck, up and down the canals and rivers of the United Kingdom is a real privilege, and you can see some fantastic scenery. However, constantly driving in a forwards direction, you can miss a lot, so it's nice to be able to get away from the boat and explore the riverbank or towpath in greater detail. I have come to explore the riverbank of one of the United Kingdom's most beautiful rivers. I'm starting my exploration at Harmby Beck Waterfall, one of the many tributaries that combine to form the River Ure, which eventually becomes the River Ouse, which flows through the historic city of York. Navigation on the River Ure upstream is only as far as its junction with the Ripon Canal, 2 miles southeast of Ripon. On the other side of the river bank is the town of Midlam and Midlam Castle, which was the childhood home of Richard III, so a direct connection then to where I store my boat on the Ashby Canal, near to the place where Richard III died. This whole area is steeped in Plantagenet history. This is Midlam Bridge, which has spanned the River Ure since 1830. The place that we've come to today on the River Ure, I first visited in 1978. This was my first ever visit up north. My mum, bless her, was a true southerner, and as a lad I remember her saying to me, "Don't go up north," and in her words, "It's mucky." So imagine my surprise at the age of 20, and a trip to the Yorkshire Dales, I discovered that she was completely wrong. During my teacher training, I had to fund my own degree course. So I found myself doing all sorts of part-time jobs. I worked in a supermarket, and I also did babysitting and odd jobs like that. I used to babysit for the children of the college chaplain. I couldn't always afford the train fare to go home every holiday, so I would very often stay up at college because it was cheaper and I could earn a bit of money. There was one spring holiday when I was at a loose end and everybody else had gone home, that the chaplain told me that he had a house at a village in the Yorkshire Dales called West Burton, and that he and his family were going there, and did I want to go with them, obviously to lend a hand with the babysitting. And so I did, and so that was my first ever venture northwards. And I remember looking out of the window of the car as we came along the dale and being absolutely gobsmacked at seeing for the first time ever a proper hillside. On the Sunday we walked from West Burton to this place here because he was due to take the service at the local church, but afterwards we had time to walk around. And I think that this is where my 42-year love affair with the Yorkshire Dales began, in this spot. So I'll just turn it round and see if it has the same effect. This is the River Ure, and this is Aysgarth Falls. These are the lower falls of Aysgarth Falls. These are the lower falls, but they are just as spectacular. And this is the village of West Burton, and it sits at the side of Walden Beck, which is another tributary that feeds into the River Ure. If any of you are expecting Roddy Rat or Hammy Hamster to turn up in this video, this is the closest I got so far. Please take me home. Deep asleep, deep asleep, deep asleep it lies, the still lake of Semer Water under the still skies, and many a fathom, many a fathom, many a fathom below, in a king's tower and a queen's bower, the fishes come and go. Once there stood by Semer Water a mickle town and tall, king's tower and queen's bower, and the wakeman on the wall. Came a beggar halt and sore, I faint for lack of bread. King's tower and queen's bower cast him forth unfed. He knocked at the door of the herdsman's cot, the herdsman's cot in the dale. They gave him of their oat cake, they gave him of their ale. He has cursed aloud that city proud, he has cursed it in its pride. He has cursed it into Semer Water, down the brown hillside. He has cursed it into Semer Water, there to abide. King's tower and king's bower, and a mickle town and tall, by glimmer of scale and gleam of fin, folk have seen them all. King's tower and queen's bower, and weed and reed in the gloom, and a lost city in Semer Water, deep asleep till doom. This is Semer Water, which is the second largest natural lake in the North Yorkshire area. It's half a mile long and covers 100 acres. It feeds the River Bain, which is one of the shortest rivers in England, and that flows down to the former Roman settlement of Bainbridge, and it then flows in to the River Ure. So this Semer Water provides another tributary to the River Ure. According to local folklore and the poem of Sir William Watson, there was once an ancient city here. Then on one stormy night it was visited by a beggar. Some say it was an angel in disguise. He knocked on every door of the city asking for help, but none was given, and he was turned away. He walked further into the dale and came upon a humble dwelling, where the people gave him sustenance. When leaving the area, he turned to the city and put a curse on it. It is said that as a result, the valley flooded and the city was submerged under the water, and everybody perished, except for the humble Dales folk who had helped him. So the people from these parts believed that below the water there was a ruined city. Local people know the curse: Semer Water rise, Semer Water sink, and swallow the town, or save this house where they gave me food and drink. I wouldn't take the tale of Semer Water too seriously. I doubt there's anything in it. on the northern side of the Ure Valley opposite Adelborough Fell. There are lots of upland farms of mainly sheep. This is New Biggin Beck, which feeds into the Ure. So this is the River Ure again. We are much further upstream. This is just on the outskirts of the hamlet of Wharton. This is Wharton Bridge. We've had a lot of rainfall overnight, and you can see just how fast flowing the river is. I think that would be too much for even a swamp duck. Just up the valley from the riverbank of the Ure, we're coming up to the village of Askrigg, which was the fictitious Darby used in the BBC TV series All Creatures Great and Small. That's the first series, the one that starred Peter Davidson, Christopher Timothy and Robert Hardy. The facade of this building was used as the vet's surgery, Skeldale House, in that series. And this was the Drover's Arms, and they used both the inside and the outside. Having stayed there myself, I can tell you they didn't have to do very much alteration inside to make it look like 1930s. Aysgarth and Cotterdale Beck, which is another tributary of the River Ure, but it's much nearer to its source. Cotterdale Beck itself is formed by two tributaries, East Gill and West Gill. West Gill has its source on the north-east side of Abbotside Common and is only about half a kilometre from the source of the River Ure, which is also on Abbotside Common at Ure Head on the west side of the common. The source of the River Ure is about 2,185 feet above sea level. Cotterdale is so remote, and there's only a tiny hamlet here. We brought my two young children here for holidays, much to my mother-in-law's scorn, as she thought we were totally irresponsible bringing her grandchildren to such a remote and isolated place. The girls had a time of their life and spent most of it at playing poo sticks in this beck and entertaining the local farm cats. To my mind, it is truly a magical place. So I hope you've enjoyed my exploration of the River Ure. So thanks for watching, and it's back to the swamp duck. Goodbye.